Welcome to episode 7 of the Michigan Outdoors podcast. As always, I'm Tyler Mihai, along with Justin Tomei, Steve Wyndham, and Logan Schultz.
Yeah.
This is all about the opening day for Firearm Deer Opener. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and a video podcast on YouTube.
Not YouTube Music.
Not YouTube Music.
Because no one listens to
Like
that.
and subscribe.
I did today.
So make sure to
you're the only
subscribe
one.
so you don't miss an episode. If you're not already, give us a follow on Instagram at Michigan Outdoors Pod and tag us in all of your future hunting and fishing successes.
When am I going to get access to the Instagram?
Never.
Make sure you tell everybody to like and subscribe.
That's
Have we
Steve's
mentioned
job.
that?
That's Steve's
I already
job.
did. No matter what
Join MUCC. Have we talked about that?
No matter what platform you're listening on, like and subscribe. You get the updates when these come out. Also, you can email us at podcast@mucc.org with any feedback.
If you got a good email, we might read it on air.
Oh, that's going to be a new thing, isn't
Yep,
it?
it could be.
Yep.
Or if you send dumb ones to the info account, we might read them.
And the Michigan Outdoors podcast is proud to partner with Onyx Hunt. Join the millions of hunters who trust Onyx Hunt to help them fill their freezers. Create hunt strategies for your property with custom waypoints, view wind forecasts for individual stand sites, integrate with cell cameras, and so much more. Onyx is essential for hunters to understand property lines, find and e-scout public land and other hunting spots, and all of the other tools to give yourself the best possible chance at a successful hunt. All current MUCC members are eligible for a 1-month free trial of Onyx Elite and an additional 20% off your annual membership. New MUCC members will get a free 3-month trial of Onyx Elite in their welcome email when signing up. To find your current membership discounts, log into your MUCC member portal and click on Membership Discounts. To see all of the benefits of being an MUCC member, join MUCC today to take advantage of these offers.
Is the member portal working on the new website?
Absolutely it is.
So for those
As
of you who don't
Friday.
know, we do have a new website. It is live. There are some small issues with it, so if you see anything, let us know. But otherwise,
Let
it is
Logan
a-
know.
Or don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is-
don't let me
We're
know.
aware of the issues.
Well, let's get into some policy. We've got lame duck and
Yeah.
going on.
It's the worst time of year if you're a lobbyist. The next month is going to be a nonstop flurry of mostly bad ideas, usually. They're already working on some new gun control bills in the legislature.
Like what?
There was one bill that would have basically banned anyone with a CPL from going anywhere that has a liquor license at all. So
Like a gas station?
Like a gas station.
Or a bar?
It,
or
it
a
gets worse.
restaurant?
There was a companion bill that actually would have made it illegal for anybody with any firearm whatsoever. So let's say on November 13th when I left here and went up north, I would not have been able to stop at a gas station or a Walmart with my deer rifles in the car. That would be illegal under this legislation. So it is not a good idea. We reached out to some senators and they actually subbed it and took out the most egregious parts of it, but MUCC's position is to oppose all new gun control. So we will continue to oppose that and any other new gun control bills that come out. But things are going to happen so fast, there's probably not even going to be committee hearings on a lot of them. It's just going to be nonstop flurries of session.
Middle of the night.
The other big thing that might be coming is there are grumblings around Lansing of a license fee increase for all your hunting and fishing licenses. A little bit of a restructure to try and kind of raise some more funds for the department. If you don't know, the department gets almost all of their money from license fees. They get very, very little general fund investment, and when they do, it is normally one time for a specific project. So that is something that might happen in the next few weeks. MUCC does have policy to find long-term permanent funding for the department. But until the details of this package come out, I don't want to say too much about specifics. But it's probably coming in the next few weeks. So lame duck's going to be crazy. I'm going to travel with a suit in my car every day because you never know when I have to run downtown.
So let's talk about these license fee increases. What exactly are they proposing?
The bill's not out yet, so I can't talk about it in any specifics because I don't know the specifics.
You've heard rumors.
I've heard rumors. Basically, it's going to be kind of an increase or
Across the board.
Yeah, or a restructure of every existing license. The biggest part of it, from our perspective especially, is there is going to be a permanent mechanism in there to adjust licenses for CPI so that as the cost of
Consumer Price Index.
the
No, I
cost of
understand that.
operating the department goes up, license fees will try and keep up with inflation. So what that would mean functionally is every 3 years, 4 years on average, your license will go up $1.
But the increase now is not $1 that they're talking about.
We don't know. We don't know what it's actually going to look like until it happens.
Well, we've
So
heard rumors.
we have heard rumors, and I don't know. I can't say what they look like until they happen.
Great. And MUCC supports this?
We we understand the need and we support the concept for a license fee increase, especially as it applies some permanent funding mechanism like CPI adjustment.
We understand that the department is underfunded and can't do their job to their best extent. So we do support the idea that they are funded in a way that allows them to manage our resources in a responsible way.
Yeah, the department's working with legislators to see what a package would actually look like, something that we could get done. But the goal would be the department saying, if we could raise X amount, we'll get to hire X new biologists, like technicians, boots on the ground. So it's things that we don't currently have would be newly funded by these fee increases if they were to happen.
I was going to say, we talk about some of the benefits of what
Yeah.
would come from the increase.
I mean, if I'm trying to remember a number the fishery said, it was in a meeting last night, but
I
they
know
said
one stat was that if they can have more money to work on,
one of them was like
funds.
if they get the fishing license goes up to a certain dollar amount, they would get to hire 30 new technicians. Those are on the ground regional technicians that do fisheries management actively. They'd get to stock more walleye. They want to stock fall fingerling walleye, which have better survival rates than the spring fingerlings.
and they said it would be up to 100% increase in new walleye stocking and then
Yeah.
50% increase on muskie
So
stocking.
they're trying to sell it to legislators right now as if we can get this much, this is what's going to happen. They're all positive. At the very least, I hope that there's a CPI adjustment because due to things outside of the department control, their management costs are going up dramatically year after year between staffing, fish food, the fish docking trucks that they have, fixing wildlife division's tractors. Here's one good example because I know you're a frugal gentleman, Logan. We had a research vessel a couple years ago, and it's from like the 60s. And
Still runs.
let me get to it. So the department was asking for general fund investment one time, which they got to get a new research vessel for Lake Michigan because they were asking for like $4 million. And when they went to legislative committee, they're talking about how because of the way that ship was constructed when it was built, they have to cut the deck out every single year and remove it to repair the engine. So they have about $1 million in repair costs annually on that ship because it's so old and outdated. They got this new money. We'll save that money in the long term. So they're talking about in real tangible ways that you, Michigan's hunters, anglers, and trappers could see an improvement. I'm not going to say MUCC supports this bill because there's no bill yet to do it. We understand the need. We support the idea and concept. We want a long-term permanent funding mechanism. It's not out yet. It may be by the time you guys hear this, by the time this airs, because they come back for session on December 2nd. So there could be a bill. There could be a bill introduced as early as today, but I doubt it. More likely the week that this podcast airs.
So go to the Policy Action Center on our new website and sign up for alerts.
Yep.
So that when and if we need the voices of our membership and the general public, we can call upon them.
Yes. So there's each of our 4 pillars now has its own tab on the website. So if you go Advocacy, Policy Action Center, there'll be a little link there that says you can sign up for emails about it. You can also see some of the legislation we've been tracking, not all of it. And you can also find your elected official and things like that there.
That's great, but some people, not me, of course, but some people would argue that how does doubling the fees on my ORV tags going to benefit me as an ORV user, or how is raising the prices on my coyote tags? I don't really care about the fishing vessels that they're using for research, so why should I pay more when I'm already paying hundreds
Because
of dollars?
fishing is a bigger part of our outdoor industry than hunting is. So
No, not even close.
Is it?
No, like
Not even, yeah, no.
Hunting's like triple. But because it would allow the department to hire the biologists they need to do the management that they need to do. They're underfunded because of things outside of their control. They don't control their staffing costs. They don't control the cost of maintenance on their vehicles or the cost of new vehicles, and so their cost of doing business has gone up and up and up pretty linearly.
Well, so
And
is
their co- and
so
their-
is it for
Yeah.
us hunters, is what people would say who are not me, but some people would say this is a tough row to hoe to sit here and defend that the DNR needs more money.
I would say that, and this is kind of a fact of it too, is that if the department doesn't get new revenue sources, whether it's a license fee increase or maybe it's general fund, like I said, our
Kayak
policy is to find permanent long-term funding solutions. So let's just throw out a hypothetical. Let's say the legislature decided to fund law enforcement division and marketing and outreach through general funds. It'd be like $34-ish million a year. That's about a third of the combined budget of fisheries and wildlife. So that would be $30 million more dollars that can go to them. That would be also another different way to do the funding, to do a funding solution that would get you to the same ends, where you would see more biologists on the ground, them doing more habitat work. Because you talk about deer, turkey, grouse. Though you improve one of their habitats, you're improving all three. And if they have more capacity to do that, it's going to be better for you. But yes, it is a very real concern for some hunters that, the prices would get too high for them and maybe they would stop hunting. And I think the department, based on the last funding increase, is looking at it as like kind of how many people fell out of the system at that point, and they're factoring that into their calculations. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like when we have a specific bill. I think you'd be hard pressed if you looked at the black and white budget of the DNR to say that something doesn't need to be done, whether it's a license fee increase or some other permanent mechanism.
I think
is up for debate still.
Some would say, not me, of course, but some would say that they get plenty of money and they're doing a bad job with that money. Not me.
I mean, the numbers that they said, though, the inflation on their costs are significant.
The inflation on everybody's costs are significant. Now you're asking to take it out of our pockets as hunters who already fund everything in the woods, and you want us to fund more.
Well, if costs increase, though, where's their revenue going to increase?
Here's a couple like specific examples that departments provided. Maintenance cost on wildlife division's vehicles, tractors, all that stuff has more than doubled since 2014, from 1.4 million to 3.1.
Okay,
kind of out of their control. I understand.
My tractor costs have doubled since then too.
The cost of fish food for hatcheries programs is a 71% increase just in the last few years.
From $300,000 to $1 million, and was it the last?
Yeah,
in 2 years it was like 70%
increase. Yeah, it's pretty dramatic. Plus, there's staffing costs because state employees are largely in unions, so there's built-in raises in there, and with declining hunter bases, I mean, the license fees have just been kind of stagnant.
I mean, the opportunity for revenue is it's not available anywhere else. With declining hunter numbers, the revenue is declining.
This is one of the cheapest states to hunt in and fish in. Like, if you look at it across, even in the Midwest region, we have some of the lowest license fees across the board.
Fishing especially is criminally low in Michigan relative to our other Great Lakes states.
I mean, if we have policy, then I can't argue any of these points, of course. But
no, they are all fair criticisms.
Sounds like a stretch.
How do you combat inflation and costs with no increase in revenue, though?
Yeah,
we are all paying an increase in inflation, an increase in costs, and everything. And now you want to double it and make it so I have to pay even more to hunt these species.
But us private sector folks,
what does it mean to you? How much does it matter to you?
I'm just trying to bring up the points that obviously our membership's going to have.
Nothing you've said is nothing. It's nothing new. Everything you've said, we've heard from the department, we've heard from other hunters, we've heard from legislators. So nothing you're saying is new. They are all fair criticisms. I would argue, though, too, that most private sector people, they generally get raises to keep up with inflation. The department, as the department, is not getting those bumps to keep up with inflation.
A CPI raise is much different than the hypothetical massive increases in tags that people
I can tell you
about.
one thing that I told the director to his face the first time we had this conversation, when he first brought it up to us as something they were looking at. I told him, it doesn't matter what you do, but if you're going to go this route, there has to be a CPI adjustment involved, or you're going to lose a lot of the stakeholders, because that is an easier sell, I would say, politically.
100%.
To just say we need to keep up with inflation. So CPI adjustment. I think they're looking at it where they're trying to take a kind of a little bigger bite at the apple, bring the states' license fees up to kind of where other states in the region are, and then do the CPI adjustment with the idea that we never have to come back and ask for one more big bite at the apple. Fix it once, add this permanent mechanism. This is their goal.
This is a long-term strategy. It's really not based off of a short-term strategy.
So this is a tough argument to make.
You're not wrong. Again, nothing you're saying is unique. Nothing you're saying is not something that's been considered. Every single thing you've said has been talked about. Legislators are asking the same questions you are. It started to get out on social media, kind of the plan, and they're asking all the same questions you are. So they're all fair, valid questions.
It's not me asking. It's hypothetical people.
No, I think it's important to remind everyone that no matter how you feel about this, whether you don't want a bite of your apple or you want to take a bite of someone else's apple, you can affect how MUCC holds and stands on this policy. So joining MUCC allows all of these voices to be heard and to come back and let us at annual convention or when we make these decisions, how does MUCC get into this fight or into this conversation? That's through our membership. So join MUCC and make sure that you have a voice and these other people you're referencing have a voice that can affect how we deal with these issues.
And again, I'll reinforce this one more time, and then we can go on and talk about all the big deer Steve shot. But we, MUCC, we are looking for some long-term funding solution for the department. Maybe it's not a license fee increase.
And that's a resolution we have
Yes.
on the books.
Yes.
Okay, so that could be changed by people joining, getting a resolution passed in the convention.
Yeah.
and all
And
that.
attending convention March
So,
7th through 9th at
If you
Treetops.
don't agree with that policy,
you
that's
can change
what
it.
you could do.
But
yes.
but my point is that maybe we'll go through these exercises and find out that a license fee isn't the best way to do it. Maybe there's some other long-term permanent funding solution that we could look at. And until there's a concrete example or concrete piece of legislation that we can read and judge on its merits, we have to talk about it conceptually.
Right,
Conceptually,
we're
we
talking about
support-
rumors right now.
Conceptually, we support some long-term permanent funding mechanism. So
As is our current resolution.
yes,
So
All right.
stay tuned, get involved, sign up for updates.
So that's lame duck. A big thank you to one of MUCC's newest partners, GK World Championship Calls. As a proud 100% Michigan-based company, GK has built a reputation for delivering customer service that is second to none. With some of the most accomplished callers in the world, they have been successful in winning every major title on the goose calling circuit. GK is also proud to be a sponsor of numerous hunting organizations all over North America that make it a priority to get the young men and women involved in the great sport of waterfowling. They strive to educate the youth on the importance of conservation, safety, and respect for the sport. MUCC members receive 20% off their order with our exclusive discount code found in your MUCC member portal. Now, I know we're here to talk about deer. I did shoot a goose this weekend, so I can talk about GK World Championship Calls and how they helped me get my first goose of the year and a hooded merganser.
They're also coming down to camp this
Gross.
summer to
Hey.
do
dude, our
calling.
gangsters are underrated.
No, they're
With our
very
youth.
underrated for a reason because they taste gross.
They're underrated
they're-
as table fare.
Yeah, they're underrated for a reason.
You just don't know how
because
to
they're
cook.
garbage.
You don't know how to
They are edible.
They are. But yes, I did.
They're
shoot
not. I'm not saying that they're
With
like.
enough bacon, anything's edible.
No,
but
we shot a couple. Well, actually, Pat Hogan shot a couple, and we cooked them with just a little salt and pepper, fried them up in a little bear fat,
I don't believe this.
and
At all.
it tasted like a cheap Walmart steak,
Yum.
just with salt and pepper. It was perfectly edible. I think that with a little work, you can make some mergangster
Yeah,
pretty
you-
good.
You get a little reverse sear, throw it on the smoker, get it on the
But-
Blackstone. Yeah, it'll be good.
Nobody wants to talk about your dumb birds right now. It's deer season. This is
Well,
America.
our sponsor
It
does.
still is duck season and waterfowl season too.
Yeah. This is an in-season talk.
How has your waterfall season been going, Steve?
Very slow. It's been very, very slow.
Oh, okay.
As
How-
slow as your deer season?
Not as slow.
Oh, it's been better.
Yeah.
Your waterfowl season's been better than your deer season?
No, my deer season's been not as slow as my waterfowl.
because you got out for
Gotcha,
deer season.
gotcha.
I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Let's hear about your deer hunt, Steve.
Yeah.
My deer hunt was uneventful and saw does at 450 yards and didn't have the reach to get them.
Where were you hunting?
I was hunting with Tyler in Charlotte. I can spot burn and drop a pin for everybody if they want me to. But I
would, yeah.
We went
Share
out-
that with everybody.
Yeah,
went
you
out
share
with,
that, he'll share your house.
Went out to Tyler's half-finished blind, and it was a good time. A little cold, but always fun.
Wear your stupid hat.
My trapper's hat is awesome, and you're all jealous.
There's a lot of First Light gear for somebody who doesn't shoot any
It's
deer. on
not
there.
First Light. Huntworth. Shout out to Huntworth, by the way.
What's wrong with First Light?
I can't afford First Light, so
Gotcha, because you work for a nonprofit.
I do. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. We all do. We all do.
Justin, how was your opening day?
My opening day sucked.
Well, let's hear it.
My opening weekend mostly sucked. So I went up to my dad's, and he lives in the middle of State Forest in Kalkaska. So I set up a blind every year for rifle season that I expect deer to be pushed through. And we found this spot where they, just for whatever reason, they cross the road in this one spot, and they go down in this bowl where they can't be seen from the road. So I set a blind up down there. I saw one doe fawn opening day, and then nothing the Saturday. So we got back to the house that night, Saturday night, and me and my dad and my buddy Noah Nags, we're all talking about how we're just angry and we're going to shoot the next deer we see. So the next morning I switched spots to a different spot that we used to hunt rifle season where I'm on this big ridge looking down over a flat where the deer travel, and there's a 2-track a couple hundred yards away, and sitting there. And, is that a deer? It is. Holy shit. Put the scope on it, shot it. Not a very big buck, or not a very big doe, excuse me. And so I'm sitting there, text him about an hour later. I'm like, I'm going to get down and go look for that doe. And Nag said that his phone buzzed. He got it out of his pocket. Before he could even read the text, he heard a bang. And then I texted him again and said, shot another deer. So I filled 2 doe tags on the Sunday of opening weekend. Threw them back in the truck, went home. You want me to go to the next one, too?
Yeah, keep going.
It's been a good season. So then Thursday, well, actually here in the office, Amy, our CEO, and I had kind of been joking around about whether last week, the week before Thanksgiving, was a work week, as she liked to call it, or the first full week of rifle season. And I took a little PTO, and we got a couple inches of snow where I hunt near my house south of Grand Rapids. And so I went out that morning, and I'm sitting there, and like 6-7 minutes after shooting light, I see a deer coming. It's got its head down in a little dip in the cut corn, and I put the binoculars on it, and it lifts its head, and it's, oh, shit. It was a really nice buck. He is very dead and at the taxidermist now. And so he ended up being a 10-point. He had 2 points broken off, so he should have been a 12, but it was 8 on one side and 4 on the other. Just a real nice big buck. Probably my biggest Michigan buck. And yeah, it was just a good day. So I was right. It is not a work week, as Amy called it. It is the first full week of rifle season, and it paid off for me. So it is my first buck of the season to follow up a bunch of does, and we are still grinding and processing meat because I had those 2 does hanging from opening weekend when I shot him still. So I texted my wife and said, just so you know, you need to break down that doe real quick because we got to hang something else up.
So you sent me a text, I think it was either last night or the night before. I think it was last night. And you said, here are my flavors that I want to vote on for jerky or summer sausage. Brats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
can you tell the list, and let's get some votes from the listeners on how they would rank this?
Yes.
You can also see a picture of this buck on Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page, and Justin cheesing like I've never seen him cheese before.
No,
Oh, yeah, you can find it on our podcast page on the website.
It was the birth of my children, and then right below that was shooting this buck. But yeah, so we had 65 pounds of ground meat in my fridge last night, and we made 15 pounds of summer sausage, 10 pounds of snack sticks, and I'm making 30 pounds of brats when I get home this evening. And I'm looking at making 3 of these 6 flavors: maple bacon, chili cheese, garlic dill, blackened ranch, which is the one that I made and brought into the office already this year, cheddar bacon ranch, or making up a sweet and spicy like barbecue brat. So those are my 6 options.
So for the listeners, take these 6, rank them 1 through 6. Let us know what you think would be the best, what would be the worst, and we will release the votes. I don't know if I voted already.
Logan doesn't care, so I didn't text him.
Not in the slightest.
Which one sounds good, Logan?
You can comment on the
I'll make my
Instagram
own.
post, too.
Yeah, we'll post this on
I'm not
social
bringing
media.
you any.
Good.
I brought in some hunter sticks, and
got my
Logan's
own.
like, why are you being nice and bringing food in for your coworkers?
Yeah, Logan also declined my smoked
do that.
backstrap.
That was good. I had that in the blind.
That was pretty good, too.
That was
Very
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
Even though Logan bought
Got
me
my
a
own.
Jimmy John's
So
today.
I will put a picture, Tyler will put a picture of the buck up, and then he can put this list up, too.
So
And
just for the 4 of us,
or any other good ideas. I got so much so much meat to make.
for the 4 of us, what's your guys' number 1 out of those flavors?
Yes, Logan.
Nobody cares.
No, people care.
I like the sweet and spicy barbecue
Yep,
idea.
that's
too.
mine. Yep.
That's
You know who
That's
came up
been-
with that idea?
That was the cheerleader.
Me.
That is the one I want to make the most. I've never made one like that. I've made all the
Sounds
other
great.
flavors. I haven't made the maple bacon. The chili cheese has
Yeah,
been
that
a-
doesn't
has
last
been a
very long,
staple.
though. That flavor gets weird if you let it sit too long.
Yeah?
Maple bacon?
Is that from all this deer shooting that you do?
No, it's from all the bacon that I eat.
Oh, okay.
that it doesn't go well when maple bacon sits too long.
Well, that's good to know. I think if I was making them today, my garlic dill's always been a hit. The chili cheese has always been a hit. And the sweet and spicy barbecue just sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I made garlic parm snack sticks and cheddar apple snack sticks.
Where are those at? Not in the office?
Although I got to throw them in the smoker when I get home.
Okay.
My wife was making the garlic parm ones because I didn't think those would do as well smoked. So those are in the oven.
All right.
So
Logan, how was your deer hunting?
Good. Shot some deer.
Yeah. Care to elaborate?
Not really.
Little
you want us to
elaborate.
spot burn you?
He shot a spike.
It was a big spike, though.
Yeah.
It was a big spike.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 14
Can we
inch
share a
spikes.
picture?
No, I didn't take any pictures.
Oh, okay.
We processed
No,
it.
but
Now
this-
it's in the free. I guess I could take a picture, but
I'm on
you know,
Team Logan at this one. This spike you've been watching for years.
Yeah, 3 years I've seen this.
Yeah.
And I had to get it out of the gene pool because he's monopolizing the does out there, and now all the other bucks have these single spikes. So he had to go.
So you had to put the footrest of your lazy boy down so you could shoot it.
No, I swapped out the Lazy Boy this year for a nice
Oh.
muddy hunting chair
Oh,
so
okay.
I could spin, and it's much harder to fall asleep in for sure. But
Do you use a comforter? You strike me as someone that sit there under a comforter.
I use hot hands.
Logan had
yeah.
Tyler had a blanket in the blind when we
Sure
went out.
did.
He was sitting there like an old man with a blanket over.
Sure did.
That's not surprising.
I don't have a door on the blind. It was cold.
Oh yeah, it's nippy. I have all the windows open when I hunt, but just some hot hands will.
If it's real windy, you close the windward side.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And you were
I like to
obviously
hear.
you were hunting in First Light too, right?
I was hunting in a flannel shirt and jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's everything you need to know about Logan.
Yep. That's what I was hunting in. The opposite of what Steve doesn't hunt in.
Don't wear First Light yet. If I can afford it, I will.
Hey,
I think we should stop trashing First Light because what if they want to sponsor
No.
the show?
We are not
I will
trashing.
tell you, First Light is great. As a fat guy that sweats a lot, switching to all merino and First Light, like it's made a big difference for me because I wore Walmart.
Like you're less fat now?
No, but
No weight
it
loss.
keeps me drier and warmer because I wore Walmart stuff for a long time, and then I bought my first big boy set of camo probably 10 years ago.
Emphasis on the big boy part of that.
Yeah, and then I switched to First Light 5 years ago, and I don't know, it makes a difference for me. So maybe it's not for everyone, but yeah, I sweat a lot. Even when I wasn't fat, I sweated a lot.
Just from standing up, making you sweat, it's probably tough.
Yeah.
Like he breaks a sweat standing up.
I've drugged 6 year out of the woods. Steve, how many you drug out?
None yet.
Sorry, just 6 of mine.
Yeah, and what's your farthest drag?
17 yards.
About 20, yeah. The ones I shoot by my house, I can drive right out in the field. So I had to drag that buck like 20 yards.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I actually had to have my wife come help me get it in the truck though, because it was.
You were sweating too much.
Because you needed some muscle involved in the situation, or what?
I couldn't. Definitely not that from her, but I couldn't bend down far enough to grab him and then get the leverage to pull him up into the truck. So.
Now you're just making fat jokes on your own.
Yeah.
Yep. You couldn't.
And you can't touch your toes.
Well, I'm standing in the bed of my truck, reaching down like I would
To the ground?
Not quite.
No one
Those
on
antlers.
earth can reach that far.
So I did it with my when I shot that doe with my daughter. I
You made her pick it up, put it in the back of the truck.
No, my 38-pound kid could not help me with that. I just grabbed an ear of the doe and I jumped up in the bed of the truck and then just pulled her up by the head. So that's what I was doing with him. So I did with the buck. I just had my wife hand me the antlers and then I pulled it up and she just swung the legs in for me.
I think you need a better system, man. Mm-hmm. Run a rope through one of your hooks, tie it to a tree.
Actually, when I bought my truck, I looked at a truck that had a U-bolt coming up through the bottom of the bed. And Ashley goes, "What's that for?" And I said, "That's a pulley to pull deer up."
You don't have the tie downs in the four corners?
I do.
Oh, those will work.
Yeah.
There you go. Save your daughter some trouble here and pull your own deer up in your truck. Jeez, she's like 5.
She's 6 now. I wish she could
okay.
help me more. I can't wait. Like when she first was able to open the fridge, like, "Mia, go grab me a pop. Go grab me a silver pop." And that was pretty nice. So we'll get there. She loves going hunting.
Just tell her it's a beer.
She went to
Just
school.
tell
and
her.
She went to school and bragged to all her friends that she shot a deer with her daddy. So
That's
There
a
you
good
go.
story to tell.
yeah, it is. Raising kids right.
So Tyler, what about yours?
Yeah, I shot a 6-point on opening day, sat for 8 hours, didn't see a single deer. About 15 minutes before shooting light, had a little 6-point pop up out of nowhere, and he looked a little bit bigger in the scope, as they do. And,
Well, wasn't it like 8:20 when you shot that deer? It was tough to see in the scope after dark, isn't it?
No, it was a legal kill.
Oh, okay, okay.
Shooting light ended at 5:34, I think, and he went down around 5:15. So he was legal.
Well, you haven't been hunting a long time.
No, I've only been hunting. This
Too
was
busy
actually
cheerleading.
This is the biggest buck I've ever shot. Yep. Yeah, cheer season. Was in
It
the middle of
overlaps.
It
It's
overlaps
tough.
with deer
Yeah, it
season.
overlaps.
Yeah. No, this was the biggest buck I've ever shot. So that was the upside. My thing right now is if I shoot a deer this year that's bigger than the last one.
No, but I'm
happy.
saying like you're an adult onset hunter.
Yeah, I
Like,
start-
you
I
you
shot-
haven't been hunting for 30 years like
so
me and Logan.
My whole life I've shot.
I haven't. I'm an adult onset hunter too.
Really?
Yeah, started in college.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, my whole life I've shot 5 deer. 3 of them were this year.
Okay.
So I'm still newer. I've shot 2 bucks, 4 does, 3 does. And yeah, it was big enough that I was comfortable to take it. And I'm still at that point where if I shoot a buck, I'm I'm happy. Yeah.
This year, for where I've been hunting, has been the opposite of last year. Last year was not seeing a lot of deer. I mean, I was going weeks without seeing deer in some of my spots, which was not a unique phenomenon around the state. But this year, I've been seeing a lot more. And,
yeah, and Steve can attest to this too. I mean, I this was the first year I really worked on maintaining the property and trying to manage it correctly. So I planted a couple food plots, but of course, right when I planted them was when we had that really big drought. So all my food plots died. So it was hard enough to get deer to come in. I'm on 30 acres, so it's not a huge parcel, but it's all surrounded by 200-300 ag lands. So, it's hard to get deer to kind of come into my property, especially once firearms starts. You notice a huge decline in the numbers. The trail cams don't pick up half as many pictures, and we just don't see as many deer. So after an 8-hour sit, I saw that first buck, and I was like, yep, he's down.
So then anybody else who's had their success, make sure to send it to us at podcast@mucc.org. We can help share those. There are also our buck pole contest going on right now. You can win some cool hats from MUCC. So make sure to tag us. What's the hashtag?
Hashtag MUCC buck pole. I believe by the time this podcast will air, the contest will be over. But even then, we still like to reshare pictures. So if you shoot a buck, you shoot a doe, whatever it is, and you're proud of it, you want to share it, we will happily share that on all of our platforms.
I want to know if people are seeing more deer than last year. Now, I don't know if it was just because my buddy's property had corn on it this year. It was half corn, half hay, where last year it was beans. I don't know if that was it or what, but this actually, since the corn went down, I haven't been seeing very many deer.
Well, and I think that's something to note too. Is this year, and this is anecdotal. I don't have any evidence, but I think we could all probably agree that most of the corn and beans were taken down early this year.
Well, on time,
yeah.
On time versus last year.
Normally, in the area where I hunt south of my house, it's near Door. A lot of the corn doesn't come down until like between Christmas and New Year's, or late in December, anyways. And this year it was down on like the 8th.
Yeah, and I don't know when it normally is harvested. I mean, it's within 6 weeks roughly, but with all the rain we got in the early summer, I mean, it seemed like first off, everything was growing super early, and the moisture was down enough that they were able to harvest early. I don't know the exact effect that had on deer. My guess is that deer just started moving more once all of the corn and beans were down. I mean, because all the property right to the left of me was all corn, and that was taken down mid-October, so it was right in the middle of bow season. So by the time you get to firearm, deer just kind of acting, it's different for them because they've been around that corn all year, and then once it all comes down, they were just moving differently, which adds a little bit of difficulty to my property specifically. But I would imagine that would have some level of effect on the overall harvest or just where people are seeing deer.
You didn't have EHD up by...
No. I mean, I never found a deer on my property. I didn't hear from any of my neighbors that they found deer. I think we were pretty safe.
I haven't heard about any near where I hunt in Door.
Yeah.
Which is good. I know that some places that normally you'd want a lot of doe harvest had a lot of EHD die-offs, and they be a little more careful if that's the case.
Well, and my guess would be if you looked at all of the county harvests, those southwest counties are going to be significantly lower. I mean, I saw a statistic on Kansas specifically, and I think it was the second day of our opener, which I believe Kansas has a later opener. But even by then, they would have been an archery season, and harvests were down like 34%. I mean, it was what felt like a statistically significant number of decline.
You can learn all about EHD because we had Chad Stewart on.
Episode 2, we had Chad Stewart on talk about EHD.
Yeah. Well, there's also, if you look at the stats, there's a lot more buck harvest as usual, but the buck harvest is 4 times or 3 times as many as the doe.
My county is
like 2 to 1
in
the harvest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we haven't hit late antlerless or the extended antlerless in the southern half of the lower too. So
we'll see what difference that makes.
This is something I want to talk about specifically because I remember having a very interesting conversation with the owner of our marketing agency, Jeremy, who's also the co-host of the Hunter podcast, and we were talking about social media's influence on harvesting does versus bucks. And in today's world, it feels like everyone that everyone that shoots a big buck, they want to post about it. They want to talk about it. They don't show you anything else. It's just, here's the big buck I shot. I'm of the belief that the climate of social media, it has some effect on the amount of doe harvest. I think people are not proud to shoot does. I think people are, I don't want to say embarrassed, but I don't think people find pride in shooting does anymore. And I think social media has led us to a point where all you want to shoot is bucks. You think people are only shooting big bucks. And I mean, I'll talk even firsthand. I see a lot of my friends that shoot big bucks. And I'm like, okay, well, why aren't I shooting those big bucks? And there's a lot of reasons. I don't put the amount of time in that they do. I don't have the properties. I don't, I think effort is a direct correlation to the size of a deer you shoot. But I don't think that the size of the deer you shoot is the only measure of the success of your deer harvest and your deer season. And so I'm of the belief that social media has tarnished shooting does. And I think that's one of the reasons that our doe harvest is down. I think there's other reasons as well. I think a lot of the older generation was taught, don't shoot does. We have a low population. We need to keep the does so they can breed. I think that's part of the generational aspect, but I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on social media and deer hunting as a whole.
Social media is a pox on humanity.
Agreed. Should get rid of it.
Well, it's taking the brag board out of your local hunt club or your local gas station or buck pole, and it's putting it to everyone. So you've gotten instead of competing with just a couple guys in your county or your hunt club, you're competing with everyone else you see online. So
nationally too, because you see guys that shoot deer in Iowa, they post it. You don't know what state they're in. You might make the assumption of, okay, they might be in Michigan. Well, I don't see it. There's no 200-inch bucks around me. There's no 170-inch bucks around me. But you see these guys posting these huge deer, and you're like, well, why can't I do that? So I need to hold out and only hunt and only shoot these big bucks. I don't care about does. It's not going to help me shoot this bigger buck.
I mean, if you're not shooting to fill your freezer, then yeah, I guess you can sit there and hold out. But I shoot deer to eat.
Right. Me too.
That's all I care about.
But also, too, if you want big bucks, you want them to travel and go find does. If we have too many does in an area, deer won't do their natural behaviors, and they won't travel. They won't go spread the genes and not have silly spikes like Logan's that are in one area. So if you need to shoot does, you want bucks to go and fight for those does. You want the biggest deer to survive, so then there's bigger bucks later on. If there's too many does, they're not going to do what they need to do.
I'm like Logan. I hunt for meat first. Antlers are a cool bonus, but I also hunt in places with a lot of excess does, a lot of agricultural areas. So I am not going to hurt anything if I take 5 does this year. Five this year. And I'm not done. I got 2 more in my pocket. I'm going to keep going because, like I said, there's a lot of does. Usually what happens is the day after deer season ends, my buddy sends me a picture in his field of 20 does. It's like they know, like they have a calendar.
But anecdotally, do you think that the rise of social media has impacted the doe harvest?
The rise of social media has been a detriment on society itself, and yes, it translates over into this realm that we're talking about.
No, and I completely agree. I mean, you can even look at middle school, high school, even elementary school. I mean, schools are seeing issues with children in the way that they feel about themselves because of social media. I mean, it's absolutely a detriment to self-esteem as a whole, and I think that you can extrapolate that into hunting as well. I think that has carried into other fields outside of just social media, and I do think that pressure, that issue of self-esteem and wanting to be better than the next person and wanting to brag and be comfortable and confident about what you're doing, I do think that social media has had a huge effect on that across all industries, not just hunting alone.
We should start the MUCC doe poll.
We do. So if you do tag your deer with MUCC doe poll, it will be with the buck poll. So that is one of the things with the MUCC buck poll. It is a buck or doe for that exact reason, because we also do want to reward those that are filling the freezer. They're not just out hunting for antlers.
Doesn't that end before this airs, though?
It does. We already said that, yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks, Steve.
Yeah,
No, what I'm saying is that we should start to
celebrate the doe shoots.
Yeah. Why
Like
not?
my local bar does a big buck poll every year, but they also do a doe poll at the end of December, and it's, I mean, I get that it's not as fun to go look at, but it's good to celebrate that people are putting meat in their freezer.
Well, some people will say does taste better too.
I would say that. I just had the
depends.
backstrap off my doe I shot, 2 weeks ago, and had the backstrap off my buck, and they were about the same age, and I think the doe tasted better.
I think they all taste pretty good, but I get the point.
Oh, okay. Not taste related. So my wife not being around deer as much as me, when she was helping me lift into the truck, I said, grab it low. So she reaches down and she grabs them right by the tarsal glands and tries to lift into the truck. And she gets in the truck. She goes, what's that smell? I go, oh, you grabbed the tarsal gland. She goes, what's that? I'm like, you're going to smell for
You gonna learn today.
You're going to smell for a while. And she did. She did. She washed her hands a lot that day, and it did not come off easily. So Fun little anecdote for you. Remind your wife to avoid the tarsal glands when she's helping you with the deer.
Gasoline takes it off.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, good
Stick
to know.
your hands in that. That'll work.
She slept in a tent in the backyard that night. But yeah, so she grabbed the tarsal glands and she smelled bad for a while. It was pretty funny to me because I just instinctively know better, and she does not. Similar thing happened, I think, last year. My buddy was hanging his deer, and it was dark, and he was trying to cut, behind or in between the Achilles to hang it on the gambro, and he cut straight through the tarsal gland with this knife.
Throw that knife away.
He did.
I was processing I think it was my doe from 2 weeks ago, and I was working around trying to get I was skinning it, and I was trying to go up the rear leg at the hind quarter and get around, and I took my knife just a little bit too deep. I got that whole Achilles, and the entire deer just dropped right on the ground. First time I've done that.
Nice.
Yep, not fun.
I've never done it.
It's because you're better at
You have to
processing than
teach,
me. We
teach
get it.
Tyler how to do that.
I taught him everything he knows about hunting.
He can teach you a back handspring. You can teach him how to
I was
skin.
gonna say you got to do
If
it
he
in the form
can
of a
teach me
chew.
how to do a back handspring, there's some like black
Yeah.
magic.
I say I'm not a
like
wizard.
physics defying work that goes into that. So,
I could teach you the Creed back handspring from The Office. The Creed cartwheel.
Office is the most overrated television show in the history
You're
of the
so
planet.
stupid.
All right, that's not accurate.
So dumb.
The Office is not funny.
That's not accurate.
No,
That's
not
not
even a
an
little bit.
accurate statement in the slightest.
They
but
hated me because I spoke the truth.
No,
No,
they
we
didn't.
hated you because you're wrong.
Yeah, that's an inaccurate statement.
No, Parks and Rec is even worse. Ron Swanson is funny. The rest of the show is stupid. I've watched it.
Not accurate.
100% accurate.
Those are back when they put funny shows on TV. Now they're not funny.
South Park's still on TV.
So let me ask you guys, if you had to give me a number, what do you think your lifetime buck to doe ratio is in terms of harvest?
Growing up, it was no does.
I've shot twice as many does as bucks, probably.
I've
At
shot
least.
probably twice as many bucks as does.
I mean, like I said, I hunt in places with a lot of deer, and so now since the universal doe tags, I try and kill every doe I see, every mature doe I see, every mature doe, year and a half old doe, breeding age doe. So, yeah, I don't discriminate. I hunt for meat, and I don't get picky till my freezer's full.
Well, I was going to say, imagine our ancestors looking, 200-300 years ago, looking at today, and they're like, you guys pass up deer because it's not a big enough rack.
Yeah, different survival strategy.
Different time, man.
It was-
different time.
It was, but
If you need to shoot does, shoot them. I mean, that's all it comes down to. If you're somewhere where there's excess does, take a doe before you get a buck. Take a doe after you get a buck. I don't care. But there are places in this state where hunters need to be better about taking does, and for whatever reason they're not. Whether it's social media is probably part of it. Some of it's just old timers.
What happened to hunt your hunt?
Hey, shoot what makes you happy. That's
Yeah.
my first thing. What's happy and what's legal. And I get happy shooting does. So
There you go. Try to
I've told my
spread
kids
that.
that their first deer will be a doe. Like I've told them that you need to learn to harvest a doe, and that's your first deer when it's time. So then you can hunt for horns your whole life. You need to.
that runs directly contrary to a story you told us last year.
That's because that was a once in a lifetime, and he passed still. So
Okay.
well, that's what I think what's so interesting about the NRC's decision on making the Liberty hunt doe only. Because there's a lot of people that are against that because, I don't want to limit what my children can and cannot shoot. And I get that. I also do see the argument that if you teach them to shoot a doe first, it does kind of incentivize them in their future to want to shoot does. And it's not just always horn hunting.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that don't need to fill their freezer with meat. And I get that. And I understand that. There are a lot of people that hunt deer for meat. And I think if we're looking at bucks versus does, again, depending on the area, there's a lot of variables. But I don't, personally, I don't hate the idea of incentivizing youth to shoot more does. I don't have a position on whether or not that should be mandated by the NRC. But I think just speaking my personal belief that I have no problem teaching my children, hey, if we're looking to go shoot meat and we want meat in the freezer, then a doe is just as great of an opportunity as shooting a buck. And I'm also very for if you shooting a spike or a 2-point or 4-point or 4-point, 6-point, whatever, small buck, and that makes you happy and you feel like that was a successful hunt for you,
And it's legal.
and it's legal, then I am all about that. Do whatever makes you happiest and whatever makes you feel like you were most attached to your kill and your harvest. And if that makes you feel complete, then that is really the whole point of hunting, is to make it happy, enjoy it, keep that tradition going, and just do what makes you happy. I fully support that.
Yeah, I mean, and my conversation comes with my children about the herd management, about the health of the herd, the health of the environment. That it's 2-to-1 when they're born, so there's already 2-to-1 on the landscape, and so we need to make sure that when we're going to harvest and we're going to have meat in the freezer, that the doe, you shoot a doe, get meat in the freezer, and then you can hunt for horns the rest of the season if you want. That's our personal family belief. And now, again, I do fully support hunt what makes you happy. I my whole life we grew up in a 6-point, a 4-point, any deer, 8 small basket 8s. Those were all great deer, and we celebrated them just as much. But for me, with my children, my thing is for them is that we need to help manage the herd. Shoot a doe first, and you have the rest of your life to hunt for horns and bag that big deer later.
You're not going to shoot a single deer that has horns.
I will. No,
I have antlers.
okay, thank you.
And if you need meat, I'll bring you some meat.
Assimilation is
He's gonna
nice.
need some because you don't hunt.
Lots of season left, bud.
We'll see.
More now than ever before.
We'll see.
Lots of season left. Urban archery.
I'm pretty excited. So as we're recording this, it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, so we're off the rest of the week, and I'm going to hunt every day. It's going to be sweet.
Do you guys do any venison for your Thanksgiving meals? Has that ever been a tradition or part of your family?
No.
No.
What's your guys' go-to? You got to pick a meat for Thanksgiving. What's
Turkey.
the
I'll get
It's
summer
turkey?
sausage. Yeah, it's turkey.
It's always
though.
It's Thanksgiving.
I literally
This
don't
is
go
a
see my
stupid
family on
conversation.
Thanksgiving because nobody else can cook a freaking turkey to save their life.
Well, that's the argument, I think, is growing up, my family was never able to cook turkey, so we did ham.
Like we're
No,
never able to
that's-
cook turkey. Like you're
That's
just
why
that
a
bad at
cheerleader.
it.
No, it just, they always, this is coming from my grandparents, but they were usually the ones to prepare a Thanksgiving dinner. And for whatever reason, they thought it was easier to prepare ham, so we always did
It is
ham.
easier to prepare ham.
Ham's for
We
Easter.
deep fried a turkey one year. That was the best
I smoke it.
Thanksgiving ever.
We did that
You
last year.
smoke
Yep.
turkey.
I
You don't
smoke. I
deep fry
shove it full
smoke
of apples and season it with butter and all sorts of goodness and smoke it all day.
I don't
I'll-
have
way
a
to
smoker.
make it
So
Yeah, I'll put it in the smoker and then I go hunting and then I come home and keep an eye on it the rest
So
of the day.
this is directed to you. Do you prefer wild turkey or store-bought turkey?
Store bought.
Store-bought.
Everybody
Yeah.
prefers
Butterball.
store bought.
My wild turkey's gone by the end of May.
But you still think store-bought tastes better?
I wouldn't say taste. It's different. Turkey wild. People talk about gaminess in animals, and I am a firm believer that if you feel your deer is too gamey, it's because you mishandled it in the field or in
I would
processing.
agree with that for deer.
For deer,
but
yes.
for turkey,
Wild
store-bought,
turkey is a different.
yeah.
It's a different thing than store bought turkey. So with wild turkey, there's not all the extra meat on it that's worth keeping the whole thing. I usually take the breast and the legs, and not much more than that. But store bought turkey is bred for being a big
To be
sort of-
fat and delicious. That's why they're bred.
Yeah.
and
So
it works.
So deer, you screwed up if it tastes gamey. Turkey, it is a very different flavor and texture.
You need to make wild. It's white chicken chili, but you use turkey instead, wild turkey in your white chicken
I've
chili.
done everything you can imagine
So
with
good.
turkey.
So good.
I've made jerky, sausage, like brats, soups out of. I do soups out of legs. That's my go-to with those. But I've done everything with you can imagine with the breasts.
So this time of year, we're working on for end of year giving. So keep an eye on the mailbox and on social media for our year end appeal and recapping all the great work we've done this year and why you should support MUCC, be a member, or at least a minimum donate to our ability to protect your right to hunt, fish, and trap. So check the mailboxes. Also in your mailbox, the calendar should be out this year. So the new wildlife calendar has come out. It's got all your season show dates, your application periods, your openers and closers. Best way to stay on track as an outdoors man or woman. It's a great gift for the holidays. So you can pre-order now. We actually just got them in as of recording today in the office. So those will be shipping out, and you can get some cool gifts if you make a donation with that calendar. We have an MUCC knife as well as a cooler that you can get. So check your mailboxes, check online, grab your calendars, and stay up to date on everything that is outdoors in the state of Michigan. And the calendars make a great gift for anybody that's an outdoors man or woman in your life as well. So grab your calendars, keep an eye out for year-end giving. And after this, actually, this will drop after Giving Tuesday. So if you didn't make a Giving Tuesday donation, think of MUCC and give to a cause that you love and support. And make sure that you can help us.
When's Giving Tuesday?
Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So the day after
Tuesday.
this drops.
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep.
while you're hearing
Look
this,
at that calendar.
get online and make a donation to MUCC. So if you are an outdoors man or woman, hunt, fish, trap, shoot, or love to recreate in the state of Michigan, help us protect your rights to do that and give to MUCC.
Tomorrow on Giving Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right, and the Michigan Outdoors podcast is proud to partner with Domain Outdoor. Domain hand selects the highest quality seeds and ingredients so you can be confident when you choose Domain, you're choosing legendary products, performance, and customer support. I personally use Comeback Kid in my food plot, which is a cold season perennial and annual mix. I've had great success with it, and I highly recommend it. MUCC members get an exclusive discount at domainoutdoor.com with promo code MUCC10 for 10% off their order. Again, that's MUCC10 for 10% off your order. With Domain Outdoor, turn your property into a domain. This is your land.
Didn't you just say all your food plots died?
That has nothing to do with the quality of the seed.
Okay.
And I did
that's
see
what I
the
thought.
jug of Domain at his property when we did the barn tour.
All right, well, thanks for joining. This was episode 7. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving or had a great Thanksgiving by the time this airs, and we will see you next episode.